What's up, everyone, and welcome to the TCG Cast Community Spotlight featuring your boy Gyrosean, the man, the myth, the legend. He is here. We got him on the show, and you believe it, how far we've come. Gyrosean, we're huge fans of yours. We love you. We love everything you do. But for the fans that don't know who you might be, why don't you give us a little bit about yourself?
I think if anybody does know me, it's because probably of the tournaments that I run in the Digimon scene. So like I host like free playmat tournaments with like, I'll just pull one of them up. They're like the Zach Roy playmats.
Mm-hmm.
They're like this style. So if you've seen other mats in like this specific style, like that's Zach Roy. And I run like free playmat tournaments and then I stream them on Twitch. So that's probably how you would know me. I do have a YouTube channel as well. And if any of your listeners are also into the Pokemon world, you may listen to the podcast that I do, Metapod. It's a Pokemon podcast. There's a couple angles depending on your listeners' understanding of different TCGs.
Yeah, just fit a couple of niches. Just put them in there, just like us. Yeah. We mix in the big three.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Speaking about your playmats, yours finally arrived, so it's good to know that you didn't lose any money in the mail like I did.
No, I've been very lucky. I don't think anybody's playmats have been lost that I've sent, even the international ones. I'm just like,
really?
Okay. I send them, and I'm just like, it's off into the wild blue yonder. Who knows?
Yeah, but yeah, it was the Eosmon that you just showed.
Yeah.
My cat's going ballistic in that tree.
It's funny story. But a funny story, actually. I actually played in your Eosmon tournament. Sadly, I didn't do well, but I was mainly playing it just so I can, just as a Christmas gift for Spencer. But luckily, at the last round, he was able to win the giveaway that you did, and he was able to get it. So my work was still good.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like Spencer reached out to me and was like, "Hey, do you want to be on the pod?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm definitely interested." And then you won the playmat too, and it was like, "Oh, well, this is easy."
I was super excited. I was at work at the time, and it was like, I think it was like 10 o'clock our time. It was after round 5. Yeah, after round 5 had concluded, and it was like 10 o'clock our time, and I'm sitting there waiting for the next truck to come at work. And then the little was it Nightbot? I think that does it.
Extreme Elements. It was like a bot that basically said,
bot popped up and it said that my old Twitch handle you won, and I just ran around the work. I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I didn't even win scratch off tickets at the lottery. So
yeah. I mean, that's the one thing I will say. If anybody in your favorite TCG is doing a giveaway, especially if it's not like a huge Magic or Pokemon, like your niche ones, always enter those, because I mean, like, even if it's like only 50 or 100 people, like your odds are pretty good compared to every other thing you're ever going to enter in life.
Yeah, it was like 99 people or something, like, and my odds were 1.27 what the bot said or something like that % chance to win. So it was wild. And it's an Eosmon playmat, and I am the biggest proponent of 50 card Eosmon that there is. So
I'm sure you have topics, but really quick, have you actually run a 50 card Eosmon deck at any event?
One of our Patreon goals that we've hit, I will, when I acquire 50 Eosmon cards, I will take it into a local tournament and run it.
Okay, well, yeah, I will say you've hit the Patreon goal, and if anybody has Eosmons to send them.
Absolutely, please send them my way. I'm at 13 right now.
Okay.
But yeah, ever since we previewed BT6, God knows how long ago.
Oh man,
months and months ago, we previewed BT6, and Isaiah was like, "I bet you'll be interested in this card. You can run 50 of them in the deck." And ever since then, I have been preaching the knowledge of 50 card Eosmon, and no one has listened.
I mean, I'm very excited for you, and I'm hoping you don't hit Iron Fisted Onslaught or Gewalt Schwarmers.
Yeah.
That just like ends you right there.
I could throw one Manoa in there. So 49 Eos and one Manoa.
Oh man.
But enough about my preachings of the best deck in the TCG. What got you into playing TCGs, and what was your first one?
For me, it was Pokemon. That was my first one, and I guess what got me into it it was weird. It was 2019. I haven't actually been playing TCGs that long, like going on 3 years maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, at that point in my life, I was like, I want to get back into something I did when I was a kid. Like I collected Pokemon cards growing up. I was of that like 98, 99 era of like it came out and I was like 8 at the time or whatever, 10. So I did that. I also collected like baseball cards when I was a kid, even though I don't really watch baseball. I don't know why I collected baseball cards. I was like a 50-year-old trapped in a 10-year-old's body.
Yeah, it's just a hobby that you picked up.
Right. And like I collected and played a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! So I was like, what do I want to relive in terms of when I was a kid now? And I went with Pokemon. Initially, I was like, I'm just going to collect because I don't want to like ruin the cards or anything. And I got the cards and I was like, maybe I'll build one deck and we'll see how. And then obviously everything I got carried away at that point.
Uh-huh.
But I picked Pokemon because Yu-Gi-Oh! Some of you have played in the past. There's a lot of text on Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards these days. It seems real complicated, and I'm like, I'm not looking to play that.
Mm-hmm.
And Magic is also, I think I like Magic because I play it now. Complicated, but not quite as ridiculously complicated, depending on the format you play in.
Mm-hmm.
And Pokemon was like very simple comparatively, and because it's a game designed to be played by kids, even if it's played by adults too. So yeah, I just went with that. I like the IP, and so I played Pokemon, and then all the other TCGs from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I agree with you when you said Magic is. I don't think the gameplay of Magic is complicated. I think it's just so expansive that it makes the knowledge of the game complicated. Like Digimon, we have 6 sets, some starter decks, and in North America we don't even have the one subset right now, EX01. But like it's so narrowed down that I can know what deck you're running as soon as you lay down your first card. I know what that card does without having to be like, oh, can you hold that up to the camera and let me see it, and this, that, and third. So I think I understand where you're coming from with Magic. And Pokemon, I was born the same year Pokemon was released, 1996. So
okay.
So I had to pay homage to my birth year. Plus I played the shit out of Pokemon. And when I picked up my first Pokemon cards, I would be like, okay, in the anime, Charizard beat Venusaur, so I win this battle. And we basically played it like it was a card game of war, like a regular deck of cards.
Yeah.
And then the winner would pick a card out of your deck that they wanted to keep. And I don't know how many base set Charizards I had, but them shits are all gone now. And I have been retired at 25.
Oh, man.
It kills me. Like, I've searched every storage unit we've ever owned. I've called every single person in our family. I'm like, where are my old cards? I'm like, I don't even care if they're not near mint. I don't even care if they're moderately played. Like, where are my Charizards?
I feel that. I'm in the same boat as you. I have no idea where all my old good cards are. I found some old binders. You can actually maybe see them.
Mm-hmm.
No, you can't see them up here. But I have some like old binders and stuff like that from when I was a kid, but they didn't have any of the good stuff in them. And I'm like,
is it just Pokemon?
Well, I have it was old Pokemon stuff, but actually I found my old Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Oh, did you?
Some of them.
You
So I had like some first edition. I did not have a first edition Blue Eyes in that pack, but I did have like first edition Legend of Blue Eyes cards.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it's pronounced like Regeki and stuff like that, like hollow yeah, like some random stuff like that. Can't remember the names of them. some cool first edition hollows back in the day. It's interesting. I have an Exodia from Legend of Blue Eyes.
Oh, wow, you gotta frame that up.
I actually used the Exodia set as my Diaboromon tokens.
Mm-hmm.
So if I assemble all 5, then I know I've won the game.
Yeah, I had some old Yu-Gi-Oh as well. I had it in an old all-black backpack. I remember this so distinctively because I just dumped all my Yu-Gi-Oh cards in it at one time so I could carry it and then go play Yu-Gi-Oh at a friend's house. And I would walk down the neighborhood and go play it at a friend's house. And I think my mom threw out my black bag full of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And I know I had Dark Magician, Toon Summon Skull, like the OG Monster Reborn in there, all that kind of good stuff. Like, I wasn't even a collector back then. I would just open so many packs with and then I would keep them all because I didn't want to sell them because I was a kid and I was like, these cards look cool. So, yeah, I know the struggle of being an OG collector and then losing all of your merchandise. So now everything's sleeved up and put into a nice binder, and I call that my retirement fund now. Because in 15 years when I retire, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
You talked about getting into Pokemon first back in 2019. What drew you towards Pokemon? I know you said it was more simple and easy to understand, plus you grew up with it, but like, what was it about that TCG specifically versus the other ones?
I think it was honestly just a familiarity with the IP, you know, because I think with anybody who wants to get into any TCG, I think it's hard to get somebody into something where you don't understand anything about the IP, like the characters, the world. That honestly is what kept me not playing Magic for a while, because like I think unless you're really into maybe Magic, nobody really knows who Teferi is or Chandra or any of these like characters in the Magic world. If you don't play Magic, you don't know who these people are. But Pokemon, everybody knows Pikachu, right? Everybody knows Ash. I mean, it's the most valuable franchise in the world. So it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, well, at a minimum, if I end up not liking the game, there's going to be cards that I at least like looking at because I know what I'm looking at. Worst case scenario. And so I think that largely was the reason I picked Pokemon. I also knew that there was a competitive scene, like a place that you could actually play it. I live in New York City area, so tons of local card shops, which is lucky for me. But in terms of supported games, like it's Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh. Those are the big three. And so if you want to get into a card game, at least in 2019, like you got to pick one of those three. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to be real sad because you'll not have anybody to play with.
Yeah.
And so that's basically it. The community seemed welcoming, and yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think TCGs from 2019, probably 2020 was their big boom with everything that went down with Logan Paul and all the other notable content creators, if that's what you want to call them.
Yes.
Getting into the Pokemon scene, and then from there, that's unprofessional. I didn't turn my sound off. And then from there, it just expanding and dripping over into other TCGs. But I agree that getting into a new TCG that you have no familiarity with is really hard. Because with Digimon, I think I watched a couple of the episodes as a kid. I know who Agumon was. I know who Gabumon was. I know who Terriermon is. And coming into Digimon, and only knowing those three, we picked Isaiah because he's our big Digimon player. And he's taught me so much about the IP and everything. And now it's probably my favorite TCG to play. Probably more than Commander right now. Yeah, I agree. It's hard to dive into something that you have no familiarity with.
Yeah, I'm like you, Spencer. Like I have no familiarity with Digimon. For me, when I was growing up, Digimon was knockoff Pokemon. I hate to say that, Isaiah. You might be a big Digimon fan, and I understand that. And so, that was my perception growing up. And so, the idea of when Digimon came out, when it was announced, I had friends I don't know if you know Orabomb and in the Pokemon community who were really big into they like Digimon. They were super hyped about the game, and I was just like, nah, no Digimon. The first time I opened packs, I was like, what the heck are these names? One of them, you probably can't find the video anymore because Twitch doesn't keep them, but one of my pack openings that was Mon. What the heck? What is a Mon? It's like they just got lazy and just said, I'm Mon. And somebody was like, oh, it's Monkeymon. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, I tried watching the show too, the original, and people have told me that some of the later series or whatever is probably better, but I still couldn't get into it. And I just think I don't have the nostalgia. It's made for kids. So if you don't have the nostalgia, it's kind of hard to, I tried rewatching Pokemon and I couldn't. It's just bad. It's every episode is Team Rocket's blasting off again. And I'm like, I don't have 70 episodes worth of time to get to the actual championships where things get cool. Like, no, I'm good.
Episode 22 is a bank. I think it's 22. The Tower of Terror, where he meets Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar.
That is a good one.
Mhm.
That is a good one.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a banker episode. That's one of the ones that I go back and rewatch every so often. Usually around Halloween time.
I mean, one of the first episodes, like where he is being chased by the Spearow, and you see Ho-Oh in the background, and like as a kid, I remember being like, "What is that Pokemon?" And you didn't find out for like a year or two that was, and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty. I like the lore." But yeah, anyways. But Isaiah, you're big into Digimon. I'm assuming. Did you grow up watching it?
Well, I grew up watching the movie, the 20 or not 20, like the 2000 movie. Whenever they had like I forgot, like Jessica Anaconda or something Anaconda. I forgot her name. But yeah, I just watched the very first movie that they did, and then like years later, I rewatched it, and then I started playing the video games, and that's how I kind of know like some of the Digimon. Now there's like some Digimon that I don't know about, like what is it? I think in set 7 or in set 8 or something, we're gonna get Shivamon as a Digimon, and I have no idea who that is. Absolutely not. I don't even know. Even when we had like VP3, I didn't even know who Argomon is, and that's apparently one of like the big villains in one of the TV series. I don't know. So anything like Digimon, Cyber Sleuth, and like the original movie, I know about. But besides that, I don't know. Cause I was like you. I did grow up like thinking like Digimon was like basically like knockoff Pokemon, and I just stuck with Pokemon and whatnot. But then like once I got older, and I was like, oh, this is an entirely like different thing. Like it's similar, but it's different. And after that, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll rock with this. And then whenever they made the card game, I fell in love.
Yeah, the card game is amazing. It's also very accessible. I mean, you have to have some knowledge of what the cards do, since we're webcam based at the moment due to COVID. But it's also cheap. It's a hell of a lot cheaper than Magic is right now. Pokemon has skyrocketed, so any good decks are gonna run you, I don't know, generally probably too. Well,
I will say, I actually think Pokemon, the only deck in Pokemon right now that's particularly expensive is Mew VMAX. Because, there is no like special product where you can get the Mews, and you're running like 3 Mew VMAX, 4 Mew Vs, 4 Genesect Vs, and, it kind of inflates it to like a little over $200 to $300 for a deck, maybe. But I actually think that Pokemon, like with all like the League battle decks, which are like the pre-constructed ones that have like the Vs and VMAXs in them, like Inteleon, and they have the Urshifu ones now. Yeah, that I feel like this brought the price down of like some of those tier 1.5, I would say, decks to like maybe $60-$70.
Oh wow!
And I'm like, I don't know if you. Yeah. I don't think I think most decks you can build for about $100 or less. So and you think about Digimon, like what deck could you build for less than $100 in Digimon other than Rookie Rush?
Budget Lord Knight.
Yeah, Budget Lord Knight, maybe D Brigade if you don't want to put in Zwart Defeats.
Yeah.
That's basically it. Yeah.
I don't think I followed Pokemon that much. I know I'm on the collector side of Pokemon.
Yeah, no,
that's hella expensive. So if you want a pretty looking deck, then I assume it's gonna run you quite a bit of money.
That's true.
Digimon, if you want a pretty looking deck, you have a really good chance of pulling it out of the boxes. Or you can buy. I mean, unless you're looking to get Zwart Defeat at $60 a card.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it would be around Pokemon's. The entry level decks for Digimon it's pretty cheap. I bought a couple booster boxes of BT6, so that's really all I have to work with right now. And I've got a decent Eosmon deck built. I mean, it bricks a lot, so. And then I've got my Jessmon deck built as well, so I just love building houses.
Jessmon.
Yeah.
I will say that is a positive. It's both a positive and a negative, and I want to know what y'all think. Y'all come from other TCGs too. Like, I think Digimon, more than any other TCG I can remember, has a tendency to like every set is almost like itself. You can build decks that are self-contained within a set.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, hey, if my favorite character is X and there is a viable deck for that person, I don't know. But like, what should I buy? And you can tell them, hey, like you should just buy a couple boxes of BT whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and like 75% of your deck is going to come from that set. So like, I think that's a somewhat positive in that, like, a new player getting in doesn't have to be like, I need to buy cards from like a vast history of sets, and each time I open a pack there's only like 4 cards in this set that matter. I don't know, what do y'all think about that?
I think so, like, coming from Magic, where they either ban half the set or only like 2 cards out of the set is viable in competitive play every new set that they release, because it's so expansive. With Digimon, just because it's so new, I think having it the way it is right now makes onboarding newer players a lot easier. Because it's so new, I mean, it's been out, what, a year and a half now in North America?
It's a little over a year. Like November was like the pre-release.
So like a year and a couple months. So I mean, it's still a baby TCG. So like, I think their main focus right now is onboarding new players, wanting to get more and more players into the scene. That way, later on, if they do reprints or something like that, old players will still want to buy them along with the new players who will want to build that viable deck. But I think if we release a set that carries too much weight every single time for an older TCG, then no one is going to want to buy either the older sets to finish up their decks, or they're not going to want to buy the newer sets because your meta is already stuck in that set right there. Unless then you run into the issue of having to beat out that previous set with your new set, trying to make it even more meta and then even more powerful, and then you just have this like Dragon Ball Z Goku scaling going on infinitely, where you have to keep trying to shuffle it. I don't know. It's really complicated.
But yeah, I definitely agree with that, because before I hardcore played Digimon, I was playing the Dragon Ball Super card game, and literally what Spencer just said was the exact reason why I quit. All the new sets that are just coming on, and it's just all the complications of the skills and whatnot. I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm out. Nope, this is not it for me. I don't know how any new person would understand what the hell rejuvenated is. No, I'm out. No.
Yeah, like I did try to play DBS very briefly. I have an Invoker deck almost entirely built, sans Apex of Power, because I was not about to drop at the time 500. I should have dropped 500 knowing what the price is now, but
that deck is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, look, it seems interesting. I love Dragon Ball as well as a franchise. In terms of IP, that was another thing that went through my brain, but like it seemed complicated, and also it's very expensive. Dragon Ball Super, I find, like, top tier decks are like each card almost, it feels like, are like $20 each, and I'm like, who can afford to play like, you get a new player in and it's like, cool, how much is a meta deck? $1,000-$1,500.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
I'll just go back to Magic.
Right, like, why am I playing this?
I'll go drop 1,000 on Magic.
And if you want to make like a Dragon Ball Super deck good, you have to have like exclusive promos on it, and Bandai doesn't even print enough of those promos to like give it out to the Christic community. Sorry, Bandai, but you don't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, right now we don't quite have that problem, because it seems that they are willing to reprint some things sometimes. I think the power-up packs from Great Legends, that was probably the worst offender in terms of, like, you did not print enough of these.
Yeah.
And, like, for the decks that they belong in, they are just good. Like, I can't, but it does feel like the power up pack promos are very specific in the decks they go in. So if those decks aren't meta, then they're not going to be an issue. Aside from, like, I think Sooner Rizamon and maybe Promo Palmon are, I think, the two that are not so specific to the deck they need to be in. But all the others are like, it's only for Ancient Gray or Ancient, or like Demi Devi or Dan Devi, right? So,
right.
Like, that limiting factor, I think, helps.
Yeah, I think it does. Another big thing is, like, they're having shipping issues out to North America. So having all of your meta be in the newest set that you just shipped out also really helps, because that's what that's what they've got in stock in surplus right now is BT6, which is why we see so much of it in stores. If we were still in the BT1 meta, but they're out in BT6 set right now, then people would be screwed trying to jump into this card game, because getting BT1 would either be scalped or it would be impossible to find. So I think where they're at right now with Bandai, I think having their meta with the newest sets is good for them at the moment. Mm-hmm. But if they continue it, they hit the either like the Dragon Ball or the Yu-Gi-Oh. If I wanted to jump into Yu-Gi-Oh right now, I'd probably quit in a week. Just gonna say it. Like, I've seen some starter decks at like Walgreens or CVS, walk by them, and I'm like, oh, I remember Slifer the Sky Dragon. Oh, I remember Blue Eyes. Why don't I pick it up and just collect Blue Eyes? Because I'll never play this structure deck ever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then you see all the XEs monsters and then the Pendulum Summon monsters, and then you're just like, hey, yep, I'm done.
I'll just go read my book instead of this novel right here in front of me. Yeah, I think where Bandai is at right now, if they can fix their shipping delays, that would be chef's kiss. Because EX01 was supposed to come out in 2 days, and we're allowing it in our tournament, and it's now been delayed.
But you're like, oh no.
Yeah, well, we've got like 50 somewhat people, so I don't think we'll see too much EX01. I run a little bit of it in my Eospawn deck, and it's Ice Wall is nice.
Yeah. It's That's how nice it is.
Yeah, Ice Wall is real nice.
I only have one copy, but whenever I played it and I was testing it the other day, I was like, oh, okay, that's why people want this band.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, this is gross. I haven't picked up any of the gift boxes because I'm just gonna wait. I'm just patient, but my patience is wearing a little thin, and I know that it's not fully Bandai's fault because it's like there is shipping issues, but I'm like, we're like almost 2 months behind Europe at this point, and I'm like, I can't.
Yeah. One of our friends who we play test with right now has he has an EX01 Imperial Dramon deck built, and that thing is disgusting because Imperial Dramon restands like 17 times and then it's just over.
Yeah, and they can like suspend one of your opponent's guys, and then if it has piercing, you can just swing into it.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty. Enter our tournament, Sean. We have a gift box. As our first place prize.
Oh yeah,
there you go.
All right,
I got it sitting right here.
I mean, I might need to get me one. Yeah, might need to see if I can win the tournament and get a gift box. Yeah.
I went to Walmart to pick up something that my wife told me to pick up. I went there. Yeah, I went there. Went inside Walmart and I passed by the TCG section and I was like, I can't spend any money right now, but let me just go look at what I can't spend money on. And I was like, okay, they have this, they have this, they have this. Maybe they'll have the gift boxes in, because it was like a week after they were supposed to be released. And I looked around for about 5 minutes. I'm like, let me just go get whatever Miriam wanted me to get, and then leave before I get in trouble for spending all this money. And then I was like, no. Checked one more time, and they have 5 gift boxes shelved up at the bottom rack. And so I was like, okay. So I picked them up, walked out, didn't even get what my wife wanted me to get. It got an earful in the car.
The sacrifice.
That is the danger. Once you get into card games, whenever I go to Target, and half the time I'm like, what? I'm not even looking for anything. I don't want to buy anything. And my partner is like, what? Oh, he's got to go check the card game section, of course. And I get over there, and sometimes they have stuff, and I don't buy it because I don't need it. But it's like, I have a problem, and I just need to see that it's there.
Exactly. Yeah, just let me know that it's in stock. Let me know that I could spend my money on it, but I am strong enough to just spend my money on one thing this time. It's like with the collector's boosters in Magic. I don't know if you've kept up with them.
I that's the only Magic product I open is collector's boosters.
Collector's. All right, well then there you go. So you know my pain with Magic too. And for Crimson Vow, my chase card was Dracula, And guess where you can only pull Dracula from? The collector's boosters.
Yeah.
So I took a bunch of singles to my LGS, and I was like, let me just get a box of the collector's boosters before I go spending my money.
Did you get that box? Did you get that box promo too? The Voldarin Estate? Very nice.
Yeah, I got that, and then I pulled Abraham, and then I pulled some shitty 20-cent alt art card.
I will say, I built a Tauren's Fist of the Angels deck, commander deck, and I did pull the alt art of that, the Jacob, not whatever the alt art name is. Yeah, and I was like, okay, nice. I have a fancy version of my commander now.
Exactly.
So I was like, yeah, cool. So, human token spam, great.
One of my friends in our server, he went out and he has like the most insane luck. He bought one BT6 box and pulled Ghost Omni out of it, along with like alt art Beelstar and I don't know, the alt art Sistermons as well. Out of one box.
The same box?
Out of one box. He says he opened only one box. He didn't do it on the camera, so. But I believe him. I believe him though. But this man's luck is like insane. And then he went out and bought like 3 set boosters and pulled the $200 Soren card from Crimson Vow. I'm like, all right, you will be the one that touches all my product, and then you can just ship it to me, or I will come pick it up.
You know, there's always like you always have friends like that like they seem to have like the Midas touch, if you will, when they're opening packs. Like my partner Daphne, she opened. I got some mystery boosters for Christmas. And she opened the Mana Crypt out of the mystery booster. Yeah. And I was like, for those of the listeners who don't know, Mana Crypt is it's like an old card and it's like a reprint set, basically, mystery boosters. And that's like the chase card in the set. It's like a $200 card or whatever, $130. And there's like 2,000 cards in the set, so the odds of pulling it are very low.
Exactly. I opened up we did a Secret Santa in our local Discord, and one of the things that I got from the Secret Santa was 2 mystery booster packs from that guy Matt. Shout out to Matt.
Oh, nice.
The guy who pulled Ghost Omni in every single expensive card in every TCG. He sent me 2 mystery boosters, and I pulled what's the Lotus that they have? The convention Lotus.
Jeweled Lotus. Jeweled Lotus. Yeah,
that one. I pulled Jeweled Lotus out of there. It's like $70 card. And I was like, you just send me they were $10 each at one of his locals, the mystery boosters. Oh. And he sent them over to me, and I was like, bro, you just sent me like one of the most expensive cards in here. I was like, I just need some of that luck.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But
it seems like he just like rolled those packs and then just shipped it to you.
I don't even know. I'm pretty sure he just went in there, waltzed in there, he's like, hey, I want 2 packs, picked them up, and then left. Didn't even bother to feel them or weigh them or anything. He just goes in there, and his luck is just, it's ridiculous. He opens Weiss. He pulled 4 $600 cards from Weiss as well. I was like, so you gonna sell those? He's like, no, they're going in a binder. All 4 of them. He's like, the wife is not happy about that.
Like, isn't the point of pulling expensive stuff is that you could then sell them to support your addiction?
I was like, why not just sell 3 of them, get $1,800, and then buy more Weiss, open up more, and then question mark profit.
Stonks. That's just stonks right there.
Stonks, yeah.
Right.
But let's see, where was my questions at? There they are. How long have you been playing the Digimon TCG?
Oh, since it first released. I didn't plan on playing it at all. And the day before release, I was like, maybe I'll get into it. Maybe we'll see. And there was a place up in Connecticut, so it was like a long drive, but I knew that a lot of places were like sold out. But I was like, I figure if I get out of the city, maybe it won't be as popular like Digimon. And I was right. I was able to like the day of walk in, and I got like one 1.0 box and one of each starter deck, I think.
Wow.
And I was like, cool. This is it. This is all I'll get. And then after that, I opened it. I really liked it. I wanted to play the game. And the next day, because those of you, I mean, if you've been playing since the beginning too, you'll know like how hard it was to get 1.0 product. But because I'd gone to a store and there was like there's no community yet because it was a brand new game, they still had boxes. So I went like 2 days later and I was like, I'll take 3 more boxes and 2 more and 1 more set of the starter decks. And so I was I will say I was lucky in that like I was in an area where there's definitely a lot of players in the city, so like they don't feel the need to drive out to like the slightly further out stores in like upstate or whatever. So like I had like a little place that I didn't actually tell people for like the first couple of sets like where I was getting my boxes. But there's like a big scene that plays there now. So like 20 people on when they usually go. So I can't do that anymore. But it was nice. It was a nice little secret at first.
Yeah, I live in like a town of 3 people, and both my LGSs are not sanctioned by Bandai, so it's a struggle trying to find any product. Like the nearest Bandai sanctioned LGS is about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour away. So it's a little rough out here. eBay has come in clutch though.
Yeah.
And I just dived in BT6 is really where I dived in at. Isaiah, like, I would window shop and I would be happy for Isaiah, and every time Isaiah got excited about something, I would get hyped just because Isaiah's hype, and then he would be like, oh, this card does that, and I'm like, alright. And then he'd be like, oh, this card does that, and I'm like, okay, keep talking. Okay. And then he'd be like, alright, this card does that, and I'm like, alright. You get the blood pumping a little? And so I just started playing this past week. And like I said, I really only have BT6. I have like a sprinkle of BT1, BT2, and BT3, but not enough to put in any of my decks. And I have a little bit of EX01 from the gift boxes. So what would be your advice for newer players if they wanted to jump in today?
Well, I think my advice for the new players is you don't, depending on how competitive you really are, you don't need the older, particularly promos, right? Because I think like if you look at a lot of the deck lists from like the Gaia Force Gaming crews and the content creators, and they're going to tell you like this is technically maybe the most optimal deck, and usually that will contain either old starter deck cards that are like the Greymon, the Sec +1 Greymons that can be hard to find or expensive. Right. Don't get me wrong, they're good. But if you're really just getting into it, I wouldn't worry too much about picking up all those promos or the starter deck cards, because by the time you're ready to invest and you know what your play style is, that would be my first thing. Figure out your play style. Like you might be like me and you're just going to build. I mean, like I've got 7 decks sitting in front of me, one of a billion different decks. But for I think the average person who's like, I'm not going to spend that kind of money every set. Figure out like what kind of play style you like, commit to a color the same way people do in Magic, right? In Standard, people to minimize cost. Say like, I'm a red player, I'm a black or whatever, right?
You're a degenerate goblin player,
right? But that will help you figure out, okay, where should I really spend my money? And because Digimon has pretty self-contained decks in each set, at least currently, get into it, buy a few boxes, build the 1 or 2 decks that you feel like you're gravitating towards, but don't buy any promos until you really know what you want, because one promo like that Gabumon promo that does the 5 card search, super expensive. It's a BT6. I think it's like a dash pack card, right?
Yep, I pulled it.
Right. And look, if you pull it, it's great. Pulling a playset though, you're not going to do that. Like there's 6 cards in the dash packs. You gotta buy. You only get. You could
a couple cases.
I mean, right? Like it's just. And then if you're buying it, like so, say you want to play Gabumon, unless you're trying to win a tournament, don't stress about it. Figure out like a slightly different way. Like it helps your consistency a little bit. And yeah, at the top level, that little bit does matter.
Right.
But know that when the next set comes out, there is a high likelihood in this last year, what I've learned, that those promo cards, they do this, right? They're like, one set, they're like $100 or whatever, like Diaboromon Tournament Pack, $100 when it came out, even though Diaboromon was not really a tier 1 deck.
Right.
It dipped all the way down to $50, which is still expensive. But now that EX1 is coming out, it's back up to like 70 or 80. But I know when BT7 or BT8 comes out and there's no more Diaboromon support for a couple of sets probably, it'll go back down.
Yep.
So that's what I would say is like, just don't overextend in terms of what you're buying, because unless you just have that kind of money, which great, Yeah, don't stress too much about it, because then you'll know what you want to invest in. You can be like, I know how to play the game. I know the deck I want from the next set. Then you buy the promos at the beginning of that set release, so you get the most value for when they're good. Is my opinion. So
yeah, I definitely agree with you. I feel like with some people, when like joining a new TCG, they sometimes forget that the main purpose of a TCG is to have fun. And like a perfect example, I have a friend who I've been talking to him about the Digimon TCG, and then he was talking to me. I was like, "Hey, what's like the best deck like in the TCG? Like I can probably like buy all the cards and yada yada yada." And I was like, "Yo." And I was like, basically, honestly, yeah. I was like, security control's the best one right now, but you're not gonna have fun with it. And he was like, wait,
Your
why?
opponent
And I was
will
like,
not have fun.
no, nobody would.
exactly, exactly. And I was like, just slow down, like just look at some of the cards, figure out a deck that you would probably like work best. Well, that will work best for you. And then afterwards, just if you want to buy a security control, if you want to get to like into the game like competitively, then do that. But first, like go do like a little starter deck, and then after that, come back and talk to me.
Yeah.
You should have sent him straight to Zwart Defeat and Alter S.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. That's like, yeah. I think that's a really good point. It's like, build the deck you feel comfortable with, and then also if you have the opportunity to play at a locals or play online, either one. When you play against enough people, you'll see what they play, and you might see a strategy that unless you're watching tons of YouTube videos, maybe you're like, oh, I didn't realize that was, and all of a sudden it's a deck that wasn't even on your radar that you're like, dang, I should build that deck. That seems wild. Yeah. And that's where some of my favorite ideas come from, is like just playing with other people. And a pet card of mine, like I do like Dan Devimon. I think it's a big brain kind of strategy, because you have to sequence things in interesting ways, which there's not a ton of sequencing in that way in Digimon like there is in like Pokemon or Magic. But Dan Devi allows for that. So Dan Devi and McGeedramon, the milling one that allows you to also put the Gallantmons out. Those are pet cards that like nobody would almost ever, rarely would tell you, hey, you should build that deck. But maybe you play against a few people, maybe one person, and you're like, yo, that deck really resonates with me. Okay, I'll go buy the Demi Devi promos, even though they're a little expensive.
Yeah, Dan Devimon is actually a fantastic card.
Oh yeah,
because like if it dies, you get to destroy your opponent's hand, and if they let it live and they try to attack you, you just get rid of their security. Fantastic card.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think I agree. I think I gravitated over towards Eosmon. One, because Eosmon is the best Digimon, and no one can tell me otherwise. Two, I can put as many Eosmons as I want in that deck, whether it's competitively viable or not. But also, I saw CJ in one of our Digibattle videos. CJ was playing Eosbond, and I was like, that deck just looks hella fun, because I like Agubond and I love Eosmon, and it combines both of those together. And I'm missing a couple pieces in the deck that I can switch out with, like the starter deck 8 or maybe some EX01. But other than that, I mean, the deck's just hella fun to play. Even though it bricks 90% of the time, it's still fun to play. And I play it like hyper aggressive too. So in my first turn, I will throw out an Eosmon and put you to 5. And then I'll swing the next time and then throw another Eosmon out.
I mean, I will say though, like that, it's one of those things where it's like that feels like the wrong strategy, but having played, I played a little bit of Eosmon myself, and yeah, turn one drop an Eosmon going first is actually like, are you going to spend most of your memory that I've given you to blow up this one Eosmon? I don't think so.
So you're going to try to push out the next turn and then counter my 50 other Eosmons that are in my deck.
Right. Right. Exactly. So it's a nice pressure play. I think that's an interesting thing about Digimon, is because unlike Magic, I'm going a little off topic right now, but unlike Magic, where you can only do so much based on the lands, or Pokemon, which is the energy, you can make wild plays turn one or on any given turn in Digimon, and like kind of tell your opponent, can you answer this?
Yeah.
Can
Like
you?
chess.
And if not, yeah. And I do think that's one nice thing about the game, the play style of Digimon is that like, sure, there's certainly like optimal strategies, which is like memory choke your opponent is usually optimal.
Mhm.
But like situationally, you might have a thing where it's like, actually, if I know I'm playing against somebody who doesn't have option-based removal, I could probably throw this down,
Mhm.
and they're going to empty their hand in response, and I'm going to wipe their board and win.
Yeah.
And like that's one way you can beat a rookie rush player
Mhm.
is you just throw down like a giant dude and set up a board wipe and like let them play out all them rookies, and then you board wipe them. They have no cards in hand, and so like it's I do like that about Digimon. It can be interesting.
Turn 1, just start with Gardramon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're making Norimon. That's a big counter to Rookie Rush.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one that restands if it blocks properly, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mechanor, that's the one I was thinking about. Just turn 1 through
Yeah, God, I have a love-hate relationship with that card.
I played against
As well as Craniumon.
I played against
Yeah.
Ben yesterday, I think. And he had a Gundramon deck, I think. And he had Gardramon and Mechanorimon in it. And I just wanted to blow my brains out playing against them. Because I'm over here, my hand is just full of rookies. I'm like, alright, I'll just hard play this rookie and wait for my option removals to come out.
Oh.
Shambles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, but speaking of the Digimon TCG, I know, Sean, that you've been not only playing, but you've actually been kind of spectating some matches. And I know you've typically when I see you spectate, it's usually with Mario Gaming World. So which one do you prefer to watch the games, play the games, or do you like to do both?
I mean, I like to do both. I think it's an interesting thing of I would think that a lot of commentators, in their brains they're like, I would love to be that top tier player. And like, don't get me wrong, I would love to. I think I'm a pretty good player. But I also am like, it's a lot of fun to sit there and really try to analyze somebody's board state. And, it's fun when you can see the right line of play and you're just like pulling for the people on the that you're watching. Like, are they going to see it too? Like, I hope they do. And when they don't, it's really interesting. And then they come out with strategies because like you're not always able to see their hands over Discord. Like sometimes, depending on how they're showing their camera. But assuming you can't, it's also fun to be surprised by lines of play that you didn't think of. And I think. Obviously watching people play, you learn a lot. But commentating, you're usually paying a little bit more attention in various ways sometimes. I do quite enjoy commentating, but I'd also like to be, playing at that high level. That'd be great. Don't get me wrong. I feel like, I don't know if y'all watch football or football fans, but like, sometimes I feel a little bit like Tony Romo in the booth. Because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan as well. Apologies to anybody who hates the Cowboys out there. I get it.
That's my second team.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. But like, I'm a Cowboys fan. Tony Romo was a Cowboys player, and he was a great player. Never won a Super Bowl, but still a good quarterback. Mm-hmm. And now he's a commentator, and he's known as a joke as like the commentator who like predicts the plays, right? Like he said, I think they're going to do this exactly, and they do it, and people are like. He's like, well, I did play this game for like 20 years. Like, some understanding. But like, I don't know. If I were to model myself after any commentator player, it's probably Tony Romo. Never won a Super Bowl. Good player, never won a Super Bowl, but also, interesting commentator. That's how I think of it.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Okay.
I think we all want to be like Dan Vang or Kami Nubu, either or. But I think I lean more toward. I haven't done any commentating yet, but I think I would lean more towards the commentating part because I know my skill level. I understand the card game. I would say it's akin to League of Legends. Like I feel like I could coach a League of Legends team, but my mechanics and my skill are probably gold elo at best. which is like middle of the pack. And I think that's a lot of the commentators' viewpoints as well, because I've heard them on the casting desk for League of Legends. They're like, yeah, I made it into gold this season, but that was it. And then we have the pro players who are at the top of the, they're the cream of the crop, and they're like 6,000 leagues above where we would be at gold. But I think I agree with enjoying commentating. I also like spectating, like watching your tournament that you just hosted a couple weeks ago, Gyro. And then watching Mario's tournament right after that. And then we had True Champ Steven's tournament right after that. Like, that got me through my work days. Like, 6-hour streams, that got me right through my work days, because I worked 12-hour shifts at the time. So yeah, I think watching and commentating is what I lean more towards until I become like Dan Vang, and then I'll be the best.
Yeah.
When I have money to build the best cards. To buy the best cards.
Yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say, so continue. I had a thought, and it went.
No,
I had another question I was going to ask you. I'm sorry, Sensor, what were you going to say?
No, I was like, do you want to join us for commentating on Saturday?
What time? Saturdays are tough. I actually have a couple of things on Saturday, so I may not be able to join on Saturday.
It's in the morning. It's 10 a.m.
Okay, it's in the early morning.
I might be able to join for the early rounds.
Yeah, we got 52 people. I think Mario might be joining us as well. I mean, we just have a casting couch switch out.
Yeah. I'm down. I'm an early morning person, so I could probably I could swing that.
Absolutely, yeah. Just let us know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the tournament starts at like 8 a.m. my time. I'm gonna be so groggy.
Yeah.
Is it 9 a.m. my time?
You're an hour behind us. So it starts at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We said that because we have a couple people in the European region, and then I think we have one or two in Oceania as well. So that might be. No, they're like halfway around the world. So yeah, it'd be pretty close to nighttime for them, I think. Maybe.
Yeah.
I think so. But in Europe, the guys who play with us, they're from the UK, so they're 5 hours ahead of us. So we didn't want it to be too late at night at 5 p.m. and then ostracize them where they're having to play at midnight, and then I don't know if they work the next day or whatever. So the group consensus was for the morning time, which I enjoy because I'm also a morning person. Yeah, unwillingly.
And small little promo for those that are thinking about playing in our tournament this upcoming week. I think this video should be out before then. Still have time to join, so please join. We have fantastic prizes. We got BT6 prizes. We got promo cards.
The gift box.
Yes, and the gift box.
The gift box.
Yes, it's gonna be a fantastic time.
I was glad I found that.
And it's free to join.
It is. Yeah, I was glad I found that because like I had it in the subtext. I was like product permitting. So like if I couldn't find a gift box, then we'd have to take it off the prize list, which I didn't really want to do. But yeah, it was nice that I found those.
Isaiah, I think you wanted to ask a question as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes. So recently in one of our tournaments, we've held we held a smaller tournament, and we did something that was kind of controversial for some people. We ended up banning. We tried to ban 2 decks, but we ended up banning 1 deck, and we banned security control just for this one tournament. And I know in our Discord that kind of like sparked like a huge kind of fire in a sense. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts about kind of like either just like banning decks or if it's like good or if it's not good to do so in a tournament.
I mean, I will say when I was running some tournaments in like 1.5 format, because I've been running tournaments since 1.0 basically. I had a couple of tournaments where I banned cards. I banned Rookie Rush, and like that's kind of a hard thing to ban because you're like, and this was like 1.5, so it's not even as gross as Rookie Rush now, but the counters to it were also limited. Like there was no Mechanori Mons there, you know. But it was hard because I had to tell them like, okay, I'm gonna ban Rookie Rush. I can't tell you what cards. I'm gonna look at your deck list, and then I will know. And I think in terms of like making a ban, I support them because you're not an official. It's not an official Bandai tournament, right? You're not an official like sanctioned locals, even I will say, even locals, I think if most of the people in your locals can agree, like unless somebody has a specific deck built and can't afford to build something else, like I think that people should be allowed to like sometimes play around because the online tournaments I run, don't get me wrong, I believe that security control is a valid archetype. I think that, certain types of decks keep metas healthy. The fact that there really isn't a lot of control in Pokemon right now, I think is a bad thing because it doesn't force people to tech cards. So it's just an arms race of consistency, right? And power. And when you have an arms race of consistency and power, one deck is probably just going to come out ahead because it just has more resources. So, but if you're running an online tournament, sometimes I'm like, hey, I don't want to sit there an extra 15 minutes just for all the security control players to end in a tie. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, to be honest, I'm not saying that it always ends that way, but they're not very fun to watch as a commentator, to be blunt. Mm-hmm. So I think it is fun sometimes to say, hey, I'm going to ban a couple of things and we'll see how that affects what people play. So to anybody who's upset, unless you just don't have another deck, which I can sympathize a little bit. But if your only deck is security control, then you have clearly spent a lot of money to own one deck.
Yeah.
And that is commitment. I applaud that. Maybe you should look inside.
Yeah.
Right.
But otherwise, I think it's good. I would really, what I would always encourage though, is what do you think will happen, and do you think that will be overall healthy? So if you're banning security control, what decks are likely to thrive, and is that the kind of environment you want? Or do you ban security control and 2 other cards, right? Because if you ban I'm not saying you should ban Jessamon, but Jessamon's really good. If you ban just Jessamon, then it's not like Red will build the rest of the deck, because without Jessamon, you don't really play half of the other cards anyways. So that is one card you can ban that's very clear, or maybe you ban Zwart Defeat, or maybe who knows. Mm-hmm. But I support interesting limited, essentially a limited formats from time to time with these bans, just to see. Everybody likes to complain about a certain deck. Well, it's okay, fine, let's remove it. And is it any better?
Yeah, I think
right.
I think after we dealt with the problem children, what we call them in the Discord, they were raising hell, so we just removed them. I mean, one was calling someone a cheater, basically accusing someone of cheating, and then the other one was throwing all these cuss words around it. And I mean, we're in an environment where all adults, but you don't need to be saying all that kind of nonsense over and over again. And then I came in and I was like, hey, here's your warning. If you don't cut it out, you will not participate in the server anymore. And he just kept going at it and at it and at it. And so we removed the 2 problem children in the server. But I think the tournament that we hosted with the SetCon ban, it went really well. I enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed seeing all of the new decks that came out. I don't know if we saw, it was only 16 people, I think. But it was a small Discord only tournament, and it was only one top prize of an Alt-Art All-Force. So it's you're not getting a whole booster box where you really need to compete for anything like that. So, it was just a little small one. But yeah, I think I agree. It was healthy to see all the new decks that we saw. I think we saw D-Brigade, we saw 3 Musketeers win some matches. We saw Isaiah 1 with Shoutmon, which just came out of nowhere. I think we saw 1 Lord Knight pop up as well. So it was fun to see all these new and old decks come back in a tournament, knowing that they're not just going to get shafted by one single person who's just going to sweep the tournament with that one deck.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I think that's and there may be a format that instead of banning cards, I would be really interested to see if you had the memory cards, because there's a lot of decks from BT1 to 1.5, 4 that nobody played because getting to 4 memory, right, was just not feasible in a single turn. So you'd play it and then it would get blown up and then you'd be like, why am I bothering? Mm-hmm. I think if you were to introduce something where it's the memory cards, I can't remember, the memory options basically.
Yeah.
if you say those are legal, but it's a BT4 and back only format, with the one exception being you can have memory. And like, does that change anything, or does it just make the base? I'm just thinking out loud right now, but like, you know, interesting formats like that just basically say, hey, you know, when something like Gallantmon that was 4-cost Evo, the original Gallantmon, like, I love that card. I think the idea of trashing a bunch of people's security stack is disgusting.
Yeah.
It just is. And then like, but the reason it was just never played is because it was a 4-cost Evo. And like, no, everything else is better. Why would I? Because the format it came out in was the same where Blue Omni, Turbo Blue Omni, where they're using 2-cost Evos.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Right. It was all that era. And so it's like, I can't afford 4-cost. So like that is interesting. So I think that's what makes, you know, that's interesting things to think about in terms of band limited. I don't know, like, what are you hoping to do with it? But
we love to bring the spice too. So like, I was like, let's just make this little tournament real spicy. Like, bring out your spiciest deck that you have.
Yeah.
And so I think another one I had an idea for. I was like, you've heard of Winamat, right? How about Winatat? So the only deck you can play is 50 card EOS, and the winner of that tournament gets to pick my next tattoo.
That is putting yourself on the line. Quite literally.
I'm gonna put within reason, nothing above the neck, nothing on the hands, nothing that I can't cover up. No,
I mean, that's dedication. Yeah, like, that's cool. I think everybody plays 50 card EOSmon. You'd have to give everybody a month to acquire 50 EOSmon, I think. But otherwise, that does sound fun to be like, it's basically, actually, I think if it was a 50 card v 50 card EOSmon, I actually think you could simulate who wins. Because you just throw EOSmons down and swing, and you know they're always going to die to EOSmon and security. So it's just purely a simulation at that point.
I just think it'd be so fun.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was just another big thing. And then speaking of drama, have you heard about all the tech nonsense?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh man. I mean, the part about the registrations, I was definitely like, you know, it should have always included the BCC ID. It sounds like, if I'm giving everyone the benefit of the doubt, it sounds like the person who created the event on Eventbrite just simply didn't put the form field to enter your ID. Whether that was like it was on their list and they forgot, or they just didn't think, and they were like, oh yeah, how are we going to cross-reference this? Because it may have been that they got like instructions from Bandai to how to create the events, and since none of the other regions have that requirement, they just sort of maybe did a copy and paste and just built the event exactly how the instruction list would have told them to. But you know, ask anybody, and they would have been like, that makes no sense if you can't confirm that they have an invite. So they did exactly what I was expecting them to do, though, which is like, you know, I was talking with some friends, and I'm like, I think they're just gonna have to refund everybody and redo registration, because the time it would take to cross-reference, and I'm like, that is wildly inefficient.
Yep.
Have everybody re-register. So on that front, they got there in the end. On the like all the Discord conversation, I'm like, ultimately, all I will say is that was everything that was said was just why is this a conversation in your Digimon Discord?
Yeah.
Just full stop. It just did not need to be a conversation. So
anyway, really,
right? Yeah. So for me, like the judgment to even have any discussion in that forum to start with is like, okay, this is not the. No, just no. This is not the place. Yeah. Right. So that was the thing that was really baffling to me. It was like, how did this even come? Like, what was the context for this conversation? Yeah. So, I mean, it seems like the actions that they took were, you know, like, hey, the judges will not be judging any future events, which, you know, from a person to person thing, like I can understand, like, you know, they probably worked for like a year on judging, so like being empathetic a little bit, that, you know, it's tough. But I think that was the right decision from the standpoint of both TAC and Bandai, because it's like, you know, there's no other better solution. And so hopefully the drama has subsided and nationals will run smoothly. I mean, but broadly speaking, I would say, like, I do think that it's strange that TAC has been given so much leeway.
Yeah.
I know that they do it for Dragon Ball Super as well. They're like one of the, I think they've run like big events for DBS. So I'm sure that it's just the relationship with Bandai and Cardass, and it's the relationship. It may also be a factor of
Who paid the most.
Well, maybe
Highest bidder.
it may be a time zone thing too, right? Like you think about, like, Core is based out of the US, and if you're actually working with a company and shipping things to get reshipped, it's probably actually a lot simpler from a logistics standpoint, both internally working. I think Bandai is Bandai based out of Japan, maybe?
They are.
So like you think about it from a corporate standpoint, it's easier to work with an Australian company that you're on a similar time zone. So my guess is it's the reason they continue to work with them is that it's just logistically easier. But there does come a point where it's like, hey, if you want to run tournaments globally and, you know, and do this, you're going to have to figure it out. And that doesn't always mean using an Australian company to run your North American event.
An Australian company who has dropped the ball twice now.
Right. So
in, two pretty hefty ways. Yeah, I don't think moving forward, Bandai has any sense to associate with TAC anymore after Nationals is concluded. I mean,
Core TCG has shown that they're on it. They do a good job. All of the pricing for any tournaments, like whenever I played in their tournament, I get the pricing pretty quickly. And I'm like, global shipping is only... Why does it only affect TAC? Because everyone else is fine. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if Bandai didn't have that kind of reach here in the States, or what their issue might be with any of that. But, I mean, it's a company who made Pac-Man, so you know they got money. You know they have I would assume a little bit of influence. They made, like, the biggest game ever. One of the biggest games ever. They run Dragon Ball as well, so... I don't know.
See,
go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I'm just surprised that they didn't use Core TCG just to begin with, because I played in the October Pulsemon event, and they used Core TCG with the pricing, so I figured that they would just, like, with the success of how that went, I just figured that they would just continue using them. But then when I was trying to register and I saw TAC, I was like, okay.
I wonder if it's just like a contract. Maybe the things were already in contract well before that. And who knows?
I'm sure it was, like, bottom line, it was probably just the highest bidder.
It might have been.
TAC was just the highest bidder at that point. Plus, like you said, the logistical standpoint of them being near the same time zone as well. And they're not too far away. If they need to show up. For whatever reason, they need to show up at their corporate office.
or like, you know, they need to ship products to Australia. Maybe it's just easier for Bandai to put, like, the promos that they're printing in Japan, most likely. Getting them to Australia is easy. Getting them through the US right now is maybe hard. That might be part of it. Yeah. But I would hope that they use Core in the future, or another North American one. I don't know. I mean, Limitless. I think Carta... Limitless, I mean... That ain't gonna happen, unfortunately. Limitless doesn't have they're actually based out of the EU. Limitless. I love their tournament platform. So from a software standpoint,
that'd be perfect, because that's what they're using.
Oh yeah, no, Limitless. I'm probably annoying in how much I preach Limitless to people, and I'm like, I have no affiliation. I know Connor and Robin, the people who, like, help run the show there. Robin being the lead dev.
Oh wow.
I mean, just because it's a small team.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't have any affiliation with them beyond that. But as somebody who runs enough tournaments, I'm like, automating decklist submission. Yeah. Do not overlook how big of a deal that is, because I don't know if y'all run any tournaments not on Limitless, but getting decklist is, like, you know, a pain in the butt.
No, I tried to set up our January 8th one through, I don't know, I literally just typed in TCG tournament hosting site into Google and clicked on the first one. And then I was like, all right, here's how you sign up. Blah, blah, blah. I put it into the Discord. And our friend Andrew, who uses Limitless, he's like, what is wrong with you? I think those were his exact words. He's like, what is wrong with you? I was like,
didn't he send?
He's like,
Didn't he like send us a DM?
Yeah, he's the one that helped set this one up.
Yeah.
I didn't get accepted to be a event organizer on time.
Okay.
Yeah, he helped us set this one up. He's like, Limitless is 1,000 times better than whatever garbage that you just put in that Discord.
You need friends who are going to tell it to you straight like that, though. That's good.
Yeah, it was just funny. Like, I had never heard of Limitless, but like I've never done an online based tournament. So like, literally, I just went to Google and I was like, hey, what's the best tournament hosting site for online?
And if you're not in the Pokemon scene, that's what Limitless is like. That's all they've ever really done. So Digimon is their first foray in any form outside of Pokemon. So yeah, if you're not in the Pokemon world, why would you know anything about Limitless?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm a big proponent of Limitless now.
Oh,
I really like the setup, and it's easy to use. I can access it on my phone. I can change rounds on my phone, which is real nice, even from the web-based client. So yeah, I think I agree that Limitless is the go-to, not whatever garbage I put in there before. Some easy questions for you on the back end. Who is your favorite Magic Legendary? Who is your favorite Pokemon, and who is your favorite Digimon?
Magic Legendary. My knowledge is still limited. I've only been playing Commander for about 4 or 5 months now, but
okay.
I would say the first deck I built was an Dragon deck. Because big dragons, right?
Yeah,
Big dragon scoper. So I just got to go with the Dragon for now. As my, and then what was the other ones? Digimon and Pokemon?
Pokemon.
Okay. Digimon. Ooh. I'm just gonna say I'm the most basic human in the world and say Omnimon.
All right, that's fair.
I feel like that's like picking the Patriots or whatever or the Cowboys. So, but I do really like Omnimon. As somebody who didn't really know the TCG or the series that well, I'm like, it's a cool character. And then Pokemon. Right now in the last year or so, I've really been vibing with Jirachi.
Jirachi?
Yeah, the Wish
Smart
Pokemon.
Man. That's my favorite Pokemon.
Like that's a good one. Yeah.
And the movie, the Jirachi movie is just god tier. It's probably up in my top 3 favorite Pokemon movies too.
I've not watched it.
Oh, you've not watched the movie? Oh, go watch that one and then watch Lucario and the Mystery of Mew right after it, and I guarantee you will not stop crying. And then watch Arcane.
Okay.
If you want to just cry for a week.
I will say when they make a Jirachi skateboard, if I find out about it in time, I might get a Jirachi because I have 3 of the Pokemon skateboards. So the Mew back there, Toxtricity, and then the actual Pikachu one. Yeah. It's off screen.
Jirachi never sees enough love.
No,
it's rough. No. It's rough.
Yeah.
Isaiah, how about you? What's your favorite Digimon, Pokemon, and Magic Legendary? You better answer that one.
Magic Legendary. I can't help you with that one.
Just say Ebb and Death because the artwork is so good.
It is.
Yeah, I'll say that. I actually I forgot. I think she's a planeswalker, but she's like she has this ability where you can make your opponent discard a card, and I like that ability. I forgot her. Like
is she green?
Liliana, maybe?
Yeah, Liliana.
Yeah, Liliana's cool. A lot of good cards.
Yeah, I like her a lot. My favorite Digimon is what?
Eosmon.
No. I think my favorite Digimon is a tie between Agumon and Omnimon. Because Agumon for me has the same appeal as Pikachu in Pokemon, but also Omnimon is he's just great. It's just he's the Omega of all of the Digimon.
I respect Omnimon. It's just I have OCD, so having a blue and then a red gun on each hand, it throws me off. I don't know why it just throws me off so much. They're just not even.
The asymmetry is like, no.
My brain is just like, get it out of my face. Take me back to Eos, man. Perfect symmetry.
And then when it comes to Pokemon, there's so many good Pokemon.
Gardevoir. That's the only right choice.
No. I think my favorite would have to be Swampert.
Swampert? Alright. That's
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I feel like that's a deep cut right there. Swampert is a favorite. I don't think Swampert gets that kind of love.
No,
I like
not
it.
at all. Mudkip does.
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Mudkip's adorable. And Mudkip is the best starter in Gen 3. And you can't change my mind.
Facts. That's big facts.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I have one more Digimon-related question for you, good sir. So I don't know if, well, before I ask you this question, do you happen to have your invite for Nationals?
Oh no. I am not.
Okay.
I'm not playing in nationals. I was the bridesmaid, always the bridesmaid, never the bride type situation. Second place at a store championship, fourth place at a store championship, and top 64 in a couple of events. But just outside. But
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay. I don't care.
Okay. Well, as of today, so today is, at this time of recording, is January 5th of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So in a month from today, is the first ever Digimon Nationals. And since you're not playing, I'll just answer the part 2 of this question. But how do you think with the first Nationals that'll not only like impact how do you think that'll impact the game kind of moving forward, and maybe for like kind of like the newer people to kind of understand like just how big this game is?
I mean, from what I'm hearing, they have said they have 900 registrations, which would definitely make it the biggest tournament to date in North American. Yeah, and like some people are upset about the invite system, and I was like, it's because we have too many people here that play, which is a good thing. But I think there's somewhere around like 10,000 or more players that on DigimonCard.dev released some interesting data a few months back that was like, number of people who've used their website in each region. And granted, that's not going to be every player, but like 10,000 plus players in North America versus like 1,000 in any other region. So a 900 person event is huge.
Yeah.
So the main thing for me that I'll be interested in seeing is like, what is the viewership like? Because there haven't been like the regional events. Yeah, they do get cast, I believe. Do they? Yeah. Well, a lot of streamers will cast it as well, but like it's not like Pokemon where like when they do like a big regional, there's like tens of thousands of people watching on Twitch. I don't expect that. We're not at that level, but I think this could be really interesting if it does, reach a really broad audience. Like, and we might actually see for the first time just how big it is, by some of the viewership. And I think that might be a big surprise, for good or bad, right? Maybe if it's only got like the same number of people who watch my tournament, that could be a problem, to be frank. But outside of that, I think nationals for each region will be a really big deal. I worry that Worlds will be actually an anticlimactic event comparatively, because it will be a much smaller invitational, and it will be played on the client that they're going to be sort of like testing and releasing sort of. That would be my only hope to Bandai. If you've seen some of the Bandai like videos that they put out where they do like the showdowns and stuff like that, and the commentators themselves are fine, but the editing is always really weird, and honestly, it feels very poorly done. And I really hope that they lean on the creative and the creators in the community currently to take Worlds to the next level and don't try to just do it themselves. That will be my push to Bandai, is like Nationals is going to, I think, do well because of the number of people competing. Worlds then, I think, needs to not be a full anticlimax that goes on YouTube to a couple hundred viewers, right? No, you need to like.
Right.
I think hyping that up would be a next big step. So I don't. That's kind of an answer to your question, but that would be my plea to Bandai: is like really lean into the people in the community who can help you organize that from a content distribution perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
So
How do you feel? How do you feel about nationals? Instead of being an in-person event, that it's a webcam event now.
I mean, for me, I'm like, it's not really an option, right? Like, can you imagine getting 1,000 people together right now with Omicron the way that it is? Like, I think you would have a lot of people who just wouldn't go because either they don't want to risk exposure, they are not going maybe in a little bit of protest, like, hey, this is just irresponsible. Like, even if they didn't mind taking the risk themselves, the biggest in-person event I think for Digimon that's happened this far may have been like Gen Con, which was like, I was there, it was like 128 player max. And even that, I'm sure people had some small doubts, but like, everybody, who went was most likely vaccinated. There was masks and pandemic levels were much lower.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that online was an inevitability. It's a letdown, right? I mean, nobody wants it to be online. And I just hope that there is no, I really hope that all the players, I know you want to win, don't cheat.
Yeah.
Don't cheat, because like if you get caught, it's not just going to look bad for you. You will begin to delegitimize the entirety of the competitive scene by doing that, and that's not going to be good for you in the long run either. Because then, if people don't play, then your accomplishments, ill-gotten or not, mean nothing.
Yeah. It's also not going to be good for the webcam-based scene either, because then it shows that you can skirt by for a certain amount of time with cheating. If you go in, if you win nationals while you cheat in a webcam-based tournament, it's just going to make webcam-based tournaments look like you're just clowning around over there.
Yeah, and if that becomes the case, like, it may be that Bandai is like, hey, like, if we catch too many cheaters in this, we may stop doing webcam tournaments because like we just can't trust the players to en masse, at least. Not saying most people are doing this, but like, if you can't trust players, and Bandai's like, we don't want the headache of having to deal with all these bans and cheaters. This is the best we got right now. So don't ruin it for the rest of us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you plan to cheat too, just cut it out. Get some help. Yeah. Get some help. You're a no good degenerate goblin player.
Right.
But speaking of cheating, I don't know if you keep up with a lot of the Digimon news, but a couple weeks ago, a few podcasts ago, we covered the people who had been caught cheating at I assume it's sanctioned events.
Oh yeah.
And there was just some funny. There was one guy who got caught cheating and got banned from sanctioned events for 2 years. Showed his BCC ID and everything. Then you scroll down just a little bit, and you find someone who got caught cheating. It doesn't specify what they were caught cheating for, and this other guy only got 3 months. And I just thought that was hysterical. That one guy got the shaft, and the other guy only got 3 months.
Right.
Yeah, just let it be known that Bandai will make an example of you, like that guy who got banned for 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years. It's like, yeah, okay, good.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a don't bother coming back, because it's not like Magic where there's going to be rotation or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you plan on cheating, just stop it. You're a dirtbag.
And I feel sorry for that guy because he's banned from just everything, like including pre-release events. That sucks. So like the only way that dude could play is like at home with like maybe a friend, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Well, just let it be known that they'll make an example of you.
And I will say if those people who are caught cheating try to play in a lot of online tournaments that are not sanctioned, like yours, mine, Mario's, whatever, us TOs, I will say this, us TOs, we have some lines of communication, and if it becomes an issue with certain people, like we could also enforce the bans from Bandai, and so like it might extend even further than you expect. And
I think with the Digimon community, like 99% of it is so wholesome, and it's such a great community. Magic gets a little bit toxic. Yu-Gi-Oh it's Yu-Gi-Oh. That's all I'll say.
Oh god.
Pokemon is pretty welcoming too. But I have met some issues in the past with some Pokemon events where people get a little bit heated. But like Digimon is so wholesome, and I'd say like the only trouble that we've had since we've started our Discord server was those two problem children who wanted to raise hell over security control. I'm like, and I just told them, I was like, if you don't want to participate, then just sit this one out. It's a single card for the first place prize winner, and that's it. And it's a free tournament. Like you're not losing out on much. And then other than that, like I think we're generally trusting as well. So like unsanctioned events, like you or Mario or even us, if we find out that you've been cheating, then that just causes so much more issues for other people as well. Because then if I find someone cheating, obviously I would let you know, Gyro. I would let Mario know. I would let True Champ know. I would let all the big non-sanctioned tournament organizers know. Be like, hey, this guy is a known cheater. And then you just get kicked out of all the unsanctioned events as well. So you're just stuck buying product from eBay at that point. And I'm sure if you cheated in your local is not going to let you come back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
know.
And the thing is, cheating at locals, I don't know if any of you have ever experienced that. I have not. But that's wild.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's your local. What are you doing? Like,
Right.
You built up that huge relationship with the shop owner, and now you come into his sanctioned event, and you cheat. If I was the shop owner, I would kick you out immediately. I'd be like, you're not coming back. Yeah.
I mean, I might pull him aside and be like, how you doing? Is something going on? You need to talk. Like, I hope this is just like, you're having a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah. Did you put 51 cards in there by accident? Is
that a fifth mat I see?
Yeah. Is that a 51 card Eosmon deck that I see?
I don't think that is going to help you.
Yeah.
You have a 50 card Eosmon deck.
Yeah. That one Manoa Bellucci is not going to help you. Yeah, I think I agree. Just don't cheat. Bottom line, just don't cheat. You win some, you lose some, but let it be from a fair standpoint. Yeah.
I would rather a reasonably salty player than a cheater.
Mm-hmm.
As somebody who, I don't think I get mean, but I definitely get a little salty sometimes.
Oh yeah, no, I'm right with you there.
Yeah, I think losing over and over again, it makes you a little bit more competitive. To put it nicely. But I would rather have someone who's more competitive than someone who comes in and just cheats.
Yeah.
Oh. I think that about does it for all my questions. Isaiah, did you have any more?
No, that was all my questions.
Gyro, anything you'd like to plug? Your next tournament?
Well, I don't have any news yet. Actually, I will say it. There's going to be a tournament on January 29th.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be, I think, the next one. I might have one before that for EX1, but it depends. I'm going away for I'm going away for like a week, so I haven't actually put anything in Limitless. So just keep an eye out on my Twitters, and if you find my Discord or whatever. But keep an eye out. The 29th is going to be another one. It's going to be a larger cash prize as well as Matt's tournament from GG Tour as well. So. And that I think will be the 29th is a weekend. So, sorry to all the EU players that are playing in their nationals that day, but this will help my shipping costs.
Exactly.
So.
And if you want to jump in our server, and we have a channel to promote as well, you can absolutely do that. I think I shared your last one too. I share Mario's as well, and I share True Champs in there. So I let everyone know about all the big tournaments.
So and that should be EX1 legal. So that's the next one on the docket, and I've got more things planned, but nothing to announce just yet.
You want to collab for the Win-A-Tat tattoo?
Win-A-Tat? Oh my god! I don't want to get a tattoo up there. It's a trap.
Yeah, we can get matching tattoos, all three of us.
Oh my goodness, 3 of us. Hello, I'm out.
You're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yep, nope.
It'll be a $50 entrance fee because I have to pay for that tattoo. I think that about does it for everything. Anything else you wanted to plug, Gyro?
No. If you're listening to this podcast, go like and review, or leave a comment, or subscribe, or wherever it gets distributed. Do that, because Isaiah and Spencer are awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And you've been a great guest. We love having you on. And
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
we will see you all in the next one.